Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Moms Know Best, where we share a weekly dose of inspiring stories and experiences through our own lives and like minded people. As moms, partners, friends, and business owners, we do all sorts of things for our family, support unit, clients, and the community. And at times, we find ourselves stuck and in need of that extra support. That's why my BFF and I created this platform so that we are reminded that we are not alone and that there are others out there with similar experiences who can inspire, empower, and teach us how to cope with these situations.
Hey, sorry, I'm so distracted. The kids. Hey, BFF.
All good.
To everyone joining us on Kumu, and hello to our viewers who've joined us on Facebook. Yes, Marfe, today we have another very special guest here at Mums Know Best. But before we meet her, we would like to remind everybody that our viewers to know that here at Mums Know Best, our aim is to spread beautiful and positive stories from people who are not just amazingly talented, but are truly inspirational. That's why we invite guests to share how they were able to become who they are today and what life experiences and learnings they've had to reach certain points in their lives. Now, we also want our show to be a platform where people can gain new confidence, motivation, and inspiration so that they can acquire new perspectives, positive mindset, and a love for self, especially when they're going through challenging times.
Multitasking, I love it. That's right, Yona. This is why every week we invite exceptional guests to share their moments of challenges and how they were able to overcome them. We also want our viewers to be inspired and motivated through the experiences of these people on how they were able to pursue their dreams and passions despite the challenges they've experienced. And most especially, we want you, who you are watching right now, to feel empowered through the pieces of advice and learnings that our guests impart on us.
Yes, and this show, Mums Know Best, is just one of the shows that not only inspires and empowers mums, but also all types of people who are going through their own personal journeys. This is why for today's episode, we invited another beautiful guest who just exudes the right confidence from within and who continues to give people a second chance on how to become amazingly confident in whatever situation they are in life and even in business. She is the creator and the host of an award-winning podcast, The Tao of Self-Confidence, where she shares her inner journey to self-confidence and gives daily inspirational stories and advice.
Yes, and I'm so excited to introduce this beautiful woman. So let's all welcome the very special guest for today is Sheena Yap Chan. Hi, Sheena.
Hey, how are you guys? Thanks for having me. It's such an honor to be here today and to just, talk about confidence because I know it's something we all go through, even me. And, just talking about it and sharing what we go through can really help someone out there realize they're not alone in this journey.
Exactly, and you're such a trooper. I know the time zones are a bit challenging, and you know what? This woman, she inspires me because as soon as I just asked her like once, she was like, "Yes, I'll be there." I'm like, "Hold on a second, where are you?" She's just like, "Well, that will be 4 a.m. my time." I'm like, "Oh my goodness, are you sure?" She's like, "Yeah, that's fine," and that's the reason why I wanted to share her with the world because she's just so inspiring. So for the people that don't know who you are, Sheena, please give them a little background on who you are, how you started your podcast, The Tao of Self-Confidence, where I had a privilege to be, interviewed by you. So I'll make sure that I share that link again to everyone. So please, the floor is yours, Sheena.
Yeah, well, so as Mafe mentioned, I do have a podcast called The Tao of Self-Confidence where I interview Asian women about their journey to self-confidence. And the main reasons why I do that is because support. We don't have a lot of support systems. And even when I was going through my own confidence issues, I couldn't find any support system that helped Asian women. And so I realized I wanted to create it. And then the second is representation. Like representation is so big for me, especially growing up in Canada. I never had that representation. Like I never saw any Asian women on TV or on billboards or in magazines. So I never thought I was good enough for anything. And so this is why I want to create that, especially because a lot of people think Asian women are quiet and submissive and obedient or treated as sex objects. And we really want to step away from that model minority myth and showcase strong Asian women. And so that's what I've done. I also help Asian women get out of their shell or break out of their shell so they can live an authentic life and thrive. And, I do that through coaching, speaking, the podcasts. And we recently just launched a book on Amazon called Asian Women Who Boss Up. And this book is very personal for me because you never see books like this that highlight 16 Asian women on a cover of a book, right? Like, where have you ever, I don't know, maybe in the Philippines it might be more aware, but like in America and Canada, we don't have that.
Love it. Congratulations. So, guys, if you haven't yet had a copy, or actually you just launched it, so where can they find this? Where can they purchase your book?
They can get it on Amazon.
Okay. So make sure you grab your order, guys. Go to Amazon and put in your order for the Bossa book. And I know Yona and I will do that straight after this interview.
Yes.
But going back to your personal journey, I know that you mentioned that growing up, you were looking for a support system. So having that motivation on starting your podcast and finding the community, can you share a little bit on what were the challenges that made you want to really pursue this inspiration for others?
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to help people, especially women and especially Asian women, just because we just don't have enough representation, especially here in Canada and America. It's like we're still so underrepresented, and so I always wanted to find something that can help us, elevate our voices. And I didn't really want to do a YouTube channel or a blog. And that's when podcasts came into place. And to be honest, at the time, I didn't even know what it was. I was just like, I saw it on iTunes. I was like, okay. And then I actually invested in a course and like this mastermind so that I could get feedback. Because back then, the title of the podcast wasn't going to be The Tao of Self-Confidence. I was actually going to name it like The Stripper and have a tagline to strip your limiting beliefs away. And so I had the artwork done, and it's like a stripper with a whip. And then I actually shared that in that same mastermind, and they're like, I think you might give them the wrong idea. I think you might have the wrong audience. And I was so crushed because I was like, I thought that was brilliant. And then I realized it wasn't, because like 90% of them were like, no. And so at that point, I actually wanted to be like, man, if I can't even get the name right, how am I going to get the show right? And so that's why support is so important, because I had friends who told me, like, just go back to the drawing board. I'll help you out with a name, right? And like my friend, she's very spiritual, right? So she has cards that will help me, like, kind of guide me. And she was like, your title will have a word that starts with the letter C. And I was like, okay. And then, I was just like scrolling through iTunes or Apple Podcasts at the time, just checking out other people's titles just to see what they're doing. And that's when like the Tao of self-confidence came, right? Like just everyone kept saying the art, the art, the art. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to be the art. And then so Tao just came to place because it meant the way. And then, the way to confidence. And the way to confidence is any way you choose, right? Because we're all different. We all have different personalities. We all have different situations, challenges, and each and every one of us is not going to have the same way of building confidence. And so that's how I came out with a name. And I was still scared putting it out, to be honest, because I was just like overthinking everything. I was like, what if people don't like it? What if they think I'm crazy? What if they think my voice sucks? Like all these negative things that we go through, right, as women. And it wasn't until another person said, just put it out there. And if it fails, at least you know, and you can just move on. Yeah. And so I did. And here we are today.
Wow. And here you are today, indeed. You really have paved the way for many women out there, particularly of the Asian descent. And I know, even now there's there's still really not that many people who are Asian women that do it till this day. So it's really great to see that you've shown the way for all of us. And it's this, and I know, even for Mafe, for me, even I see Mafe as somebody who's also paved the way in terms of, online shows for Asian women. So, it's really great to see, to have like this synergy of women trying to empower each other, especially of, those of the Asian descent. So it's super exciting. I'm so excited to get to know you more, Sheena. And, like, just for yourself, you invite people to share about their journeys on your podcast, and they give you their share of inspiration, and, you have that collaboration online. So for you, how do you use your pieces of advice and inspiring words to motivate yourself as a person and, as a human being?
Yeah, I mean, when I have moments of self-doubt, I always tell myself like I am enough. I am loved, I am enough, and I am worthy. And I keep telling myself that until I feel better, because that's all I need to say just to give me that boost. And just surrounding myself with like-minded women, right? Being able to cheer me up or cheer me on when I'm not having those days, right? Because not all of us are always confident. Sometimes we're 100% confident. Sometimes we're minus 10% confident. And so that's why it's so important to surround yourself with like-minded women, or have an accountability partner, or have a BFF that will like cheer you. Oh, that's my grandma. She's in the Philippines right now. Um, yeah. And so that's why I believe support is huge. And even now, like, Clubhouse is really big now here in Canada and America. And so I always hold chat rooms just to hold space for people to chat, especially Asian women, just have a platform where they can just be very vulnerable and just, say what they feel. And the main thing that they really lack is support. And this is why women, feel like they're alone, because they feel like they don't have enough support. And because they feel like they don't have enough support, they're not going to go out there and go after what they want to do, whether it's to start a business or, go after their dream life. Like, they're too scared because they feel like they're the only ones doing it and there's no one out there doing it. And so this is why sharing stories is very important, because there could be someone that they could relate to and see like, oh, they were able to overcome all their obstacles. And if it's possible for them, then it's possible for me. And like, relatability is huge, right? Especially as Asian women, we go through so many things. Like, it's bad enough that we've been told to live life one way, and then we still have to keep up with the beauty standards in, Asian countries, especially like when it comes to bleaching creams and whitening creams. I recently read an article that women of color spend over $8 billion a year on bleaching creams, which is insane. Yeah, it's crazy. And like, for me, I'm always, preaching that you should accept yourself for who you are, and just be beautiful in your own skin, because that's how we were made, and we're all different. And the more we can just embrace that, the more we can feel confident and be just authentic, versus always trying to keep up with everyone, or trying to keep up with society, like that perfectionism, or what beauty's supposed to look like, right? Beauty is supposed to not look like anything, right? Whatever, beauty is like abstract. You're like, everyone's beautiful in their own way. And so the more we can embrace that, and it starts from inside, right? It doesn't really start from outside. When you can work your insides, it'll flow out, right? You'll see, people can notice because you'll have that glow. And so it's really important to work on yourself versus like trying to do all those things, which is crazy. I know a lot of women and men do it. I mean, especially like in countries like Korea, like there's a plastic surgery office in like every other corner, and it's crazy. And bleaching creams aren't only in the Philippines; it's in India, it's in Thailand, Vietnam. They everywhere has it, right? And so it's just unfortunate that this industry is making so much money bringing down women's confidence.
Well, that's actually, that's quite interesting what you've said. I mean, I guess there's two sides to everything, right? I think,
Yeah.
You said it's quite predominant in those Asian countries. So you also tend to think that culturally, there's also been an importance that was put in onto those things. So culturally, people are saying, oh, it's better to be lighter. When you really analyze the fact that it's available everywhere, you kind of go, okay, so the culture itself is saying that it's better. And I suppose if there are women or people out there who have those insecurities, it gets magnified because of the social media.
Yeah.
And that right now it just doesn't help, like with all of those things. And I guess, yeah, like when you have a forum or you create a space for them to be able to voice out these these grievances or things that they have to carry, it really is one of those amazing feelings, I suppose, for them, because it's like this is the first time they're actually able to share. And in terms of, like, I know you said that the skin color and stuff like that, what has there been anything that has really been like really stood out to you in terms of you didn't realize the how serious some cultural, like, I guess putting them in the box
Oh,
has created for them?
yeah. I mean, in China, it's like if you're 25 and over and still single, you're basically called a leftover. And
Really?
yeah,
25?
it's crazy. Like, and these women are independent, have good jobs or have a business, but because they're not married, it's like, you're a failure in life. And because that's all they want, right? They want their daughters to be married off and have kids. And the same thing in Japan. It's called Christmas cake because nobody likes Christmas cake after Christmas. So it's basically calling them a leftover. And these names
Wow.
really hurt us, right? Thinking like, we're only worth that much. And we have to realize, like, we have to like take away those labels because it really does hurt us. And just women alone, right? We go through so much gender bias, right? It's like if we go out there and try to do our own thing, we're labeled as difficult, aggressive, or too much, versus a guy, if he's doing the same thing, he's confident and courageous. And so we really need to take those names out, or just even just maybe embrace it and say, if I'm aggressive, then yeah, I'm aggressive, but I'm still going to go after what I want. And
Mm.
we have to learn to help women bring up their confidence because we have such a huge confidence gap right now. Like, women we over prepare, right? We over prepare to a T, but there's still something that holds us back from taking that first step. And it's because of how we perceive ourselves, right? We feel like we're not enough. We go through imposter syndrome. We feel like a fraud versus a guy. He may be 10% ready, but he's going to do it regardless of what happens. And if he makes a mistake, he'll make a mistake and deal with it and move on. And so this is why it's so important to help women bring up their confidence so they can see their worth, so they can see that they are capable, because we are capable. Like, we are capable, we are competent, but it's the confidence issues that we face that holds us back. And then we end up having lack of confidence from not taking action.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Everything that you said, it's just so spot on. It's like when we set boundaries, we're called a name because they're saying, oh, we're just saying no because we need to set boundaries for ourselves. And then we'll be labeled as something else, as like what you mentioned. Oh, that's just, yeah, it is crazy how there are gender biases, but at the same time also, sometimes if we don't back ourselves, it's kind of those situations where we end up stopping ourselves, our own self, from continuing to move forward. Now I can see why you are able to speak to so many people, because you have got so many amazing things to share, and I could just keep talking and talking. But anyway, how do you juggle everything in life? Your personal life, work, business, everything.
Um, you know, I live by Google Calendar, to be honest, especially
Yeah.
nowadays. Like, we're stuck at home and
Yeah.
there's like interviews and sessions and things like that. So I live by Google Calendar. I do take some days off if I need it. And before, I would feel bad if like I woke up too late or I didn't do what I was supposed to do. But sometimes we're like, that just happens, and it happens to everyone. And so we just have to learn to let it go. Like, if you woke up an hour late, you woke up an hour late. It's not the end of the world. And we all
Mm,
go through that. Like, we just feel bad that we just didn't do enough for the day. But like, maybe sometimes we just don't have to do it. Maybe the universe is telling us, maybe you just need a break. Maybe you just need to slow down and just not do anything. And you're like, okay, we'll just go with the flow, right? A lot of us, we try to control things, we try to force things, and it just becomes a hot mess. And sometimes we just need to let it go and just let it be. And when you look back, you're going to be like, oh, now I know why I went through that. Everything makes sense now. But at the time, you're like, I don't get it. What's going on? Why isn't it going according to my plan? Right?
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that is so true. I think, that patience, the patience of, what's supposed to be in the journey and just kind of like letting it be. And yeah, you're right. I probably, I probably should have rested today. But like any woman, I just kept going. So thanks for the reminder. I'll make sure I put my feet up straight
Yeah.
after this. um, have you had any aha moments like along the way, something that you learned or heard or something that really surprised you?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of aha moments, especially like in this journey that we're in. You know, sometimes when you're in entrepreneurship and you go on social media, you see like all these people showing off their fancy cars and fancy houses and fancy things. And people think, oh, they're living the life. And sometimes you don't know what they go through. Or maybe like sometimes that's not even theirs. They probably just rented it to for the photo. And so,
Wow.
you know, sometimes like entrepreneurship gets glamorized. Nobody realizes like it sucks a lot sometimes. Sometimes you want to cry. Sometimes you want to quit. Sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah, you get to work your own hours, but sometimes you're going to have to be working 24 hours straight, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have to go through so much rejection. You're going to have to push through so much of your fears, right? But that's all part of the process. And if people just were more honest about that, then people can realize like this is just a part of life. And if I can go through it, I'm going to push through it, right?
Yeah.
Just giving the honest truth is like really important because if not, like then we're gonna think, oh, all you have to do is follow this thing for 30 days and I'm gonna be rich. But that's not gonna. I mean, it's possible, but most of the time that's not gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're someone new and like you have you're new to this, right? Sometimes it might take you 90 days, sometimes it might take you 5 years. I mean, there's so many companies that like Tofurky, right? I read a story how for 10 years they had a revenue of like 30 grand. But they kept going because they really believed in their mission and their vision was to promote plant-based foods. But now they're like a multi-million company because they just kept going regardless, like even if they only made 30,000, right?
Amazing.
But are most people willing to do that?
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? Or when
Yeah.
people say, oh, they were an overnight success. They were not an overnight success. They've been putting in the work day in and day out. I remember Lizzo did a tweet and she was tweeting about before she became famous what she had to go through to where she got to today, right? Like she sang everywhere and anywhere. Sometimes she just sang for beer because they couldn't pay her money, right?
Yeah.
So like she put in the work to get to where she is today. So she's not an overnight success, and that's what she was telling people. Like I've been doing this for 10 years, right? Nobody knew who I was for 10 years. And so this is why it's so important to just share things like that. Like, yeah, we all go through fears. We're going to get rejected a lot. And that sometimes can be very debilitating because, when you get like 50 no's in a row, you're like, am I doing something wrong? But it's just a part of life, right? A lot of people get no's, right? Like they said Colonel Sanders had 1,000 no's before someone said yes to his Kentucky Fried Chicken idea. And look where it is now. Yeah.
Exactly. No, I just have to add to that. I just saw a tweet by Denzel Washington. He said that if I do a job in 30 minutes, it's because I spent 10 years learning and progressing on how to do that in 30 minutes. I base what is owed to me on the years, not the minutes. Value your time and experience. So that's a really good one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
that is so true. That is, and because a lot of the times as well, like people, like you said, they glamorize entrepreneurship and being a business owner, but it's so hard. Like, it's one of the hardest thing I've ever done in my whole life. Like,
it's hard.
Everybody says, oh, you get to work your hours. Yeah, but you end up, because everybody goes, oh, you leave your 9 to 5. Actually, you know what? It's not 9 to 5. There are days where it's much longer than 9 to 5.
Sometimes it's 9 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and people just instantly think you're a business owner, so you got all the cash. Like your cash flow is just, you're just making money. But in actual fact, that's not the case as a business owner. A lot of the times, you're taking from your own pocket, and so. But being able to speak about those things and actually saying it's for real. I mean, I have to add this because I feel like it's a good time to talk about it. It's also motherhood, right, Sheena? Like, people glamorize motherhood. Like, they have all these pictures on social media and they look gorgeous after they've just given birth. Like, I don't know how it's possible for them to look gorgeous after just pushing a baby out. But people don't talk about it. So when people go through motherhood or labor or anything, they get this rude awakening because they're like, oh my God, I did not expect that. So when I went through what I went through, during my own labor and delivery and all of that stuff. When my friends asked me, I was like, no, it was really the most painful thing in my whole life. Like, I just said it straight up because everybody was always like, oh, it was beautiful. I'm like, it was not beautiful. It was painful,
Yeah.
but that's what. But people need to hear that, because then they go in thinking, oh, okay, it's going to be such, roses and, whatnot. And then it's like, and then they get scared and they get traumatized, and then they kind of go, oh, do I do that again? And so, having honest, open conversations like what you're creating, the platform you're creating for people, it's so, so important. I think for us, we also should, be open to sharing our real thoughts and our real experience, as opposed to, just sugarcoating things and not completely sharing the truth. So I absolutely love that. I don't even know what I was up to, because I was just enjoying our conversation. But what would be your advice to those who wanted to do the same in pursuing a business that they love?
I mean, a lot of people start when they're still working, right? And that's fine, right? Just start small and slowly just work your way up, right? I always believe having the small actionable steps is what yields the great results, right? Just putting in the work day in and day out. If you do have funds, hire a coach to help you along the way, right? They can check out the blind spots that you can't see, or help you, even just give you that push to go out there and do it. Because most women are afraid of promoting themselves, right?
Yeah.
Most women are very afraid of promoting themselves. I sometimes still get afraid, right?
Me.
Yeah, it's because of how we're brought up, right? We're told it's not ladylike, it's not proper, it's shameful, all these labels, and so it really stops us from promoting ourselves. And so many ladies go through this. I've talked to so many ladies who go through this, and I'm like, just put it out there, just put it out there, just put it out there. Or sometimes I'll just put it out there so that, to show them, like, look, this was fine. Everybody loved it. And so, especially if you have a service or a product that can impact someone's life, you're actually doing a disservice by not sharing it, right?
Yes.
And
Love
so
it.
that's what I tell people, like, you're actually doing a disservice if you're not sharing it. So it's really important to share what you do, what you provide, how you're going to solve somebody's problems, how you can help someone change their life for the better, because you have, certain skills and talents that nobody else has, right? And we're all here for a reason. It's whether, it's to live life live life to the fullest, and like be able to make an impact in the world, like a positive impact, help others. So, yeah.
No, that's I love that.
So amazing, Sheena. I know that you have a lot going on right now. Perhaps you can invite everybody on your workshops, your podcasts, and also to purchase your book again.
Yeah, for sure. So the book is Asian Women Who Boss Up. You can find it on Amazon. And we're also actually going to have a free summit towards the end of March. You can just go to my websites, sheenayapchan.com or thetaoofselfconfidence.com, and you can register for free. And it's all the authors in the book will be the speakers. So they're going to teach you how to build a business. And these women are amazing. Some of them are, TV producers, speakers, coaches. Some have a cookbook. One's in the beauty industry, financial industry, productivity. So, like, very multifaceted. And I've always wanted to showcase strong women, Asian women who are multifaceted, because we're not just one thing, right? But we've been labeled as one thing, right? All our lives, and that hurts us. That's why we don't get as many leadership roles or CEO roles, because they don't take us seriously, right? Because they still think we're quiet and submissive and obedient. And so we really need to get out of that and say, no, we're not. We're not that. We're none of that. Stop saying that. And so the more we can help women just be able to have the courage to just take one step forward, that makes a huge difference. And, especially now, like, being silent doesn't really help us, especially in Canada and the States. We've been experiencing a lot of Asian targeted crimes because of the pandemic. Every day in the news, you hear something, right? And they're targeting the elderly, which is even worse.
Wow.
Yeah, like you hear reports where an 80-year-old Filipino woman was beat up in a trolley. A 24-year-old Thai man was like pushed off the street. Another man was his face got slashed at the subway. but nobody really talks about this on mainstream media, and that's why nobody knows about it. If it
Oh my
wasn't for
God.
like Asian American news outlets, then we wouldn't have known this. So it's really important to bring topics like this out. And I know for sometimes it's really hard for some people to speak out about it because they're not ready, or they don't know if they can carry that burden, or they're afraid they might be the target, right? And that's all like valid reasons, right? Like I understand, like sometimes you're just not ready and it's okay, but at least like, I like just support people who are out there speaking up for our community, right? Like do what you can. If you want, donate to an organization that is trying to help
Yeah.
combat racism against Asians, because it's every day there's something in the news, and it's just really heartbreaking, especially when it comes to the elderly, because it's like that could be our Lolas or our Lolo being targeted, right? And like sometimes I think, do I even want to live here now with all these things happening? Like it makes you think, right? Or like even if my parents want to go out, sometimes I'm like, oh my god, anxiety attack.
So terrible. I did not
Yeah,
even read. We don't even hear that. Like obviously, if it's not reported there, we're obviously across the world. We're not going to hear about it, and that really makes me sad to hear that.
yeah.
That people are experiencing that in this day and age. You would think that we would learn from the past, and
No,
that's true.
it's
That's
I feel like it's getting worse. And like even in Europe, someone was telling me that Paris is like the hotbed of Asian hate crimes. So
really,
it's like, yeah, I didn't know if I didn't talk to that person, right? And
Mm.
so we really don't know what's going on. If no one talks about it, no one knows about it. And even some of my friends here in Canada, they're like, we don't get Asian hate crimes. I'm like, yeah, we do. Nobody talks about it. It happens. It's just nobody
actually.
talks about it.
Yeah, actually, you're right. Actually, that reminded me of a story. During the time that the pandemic hit, one of my friend's child, her son, was actually got targeted for something like that, and he was at the time, still young. Like he that's we're talking about grade school. So
Yeah.
these children are young, and even at this age, the children already have this hate within themselves. And he was basically the other child was actually basically saying that because they're Asian, that they must have coronavirus,
Yeah.
and
Even
that it
even
came from them at such a young age. I was
even here.
horrified. I was
Yeah,
just
even
like,
it's
how is
crazy.
that?
Even here, like, people will ask, like, just because you're Asian, they'll be like, do you have the virus? Because there's this belief that all viruses come from Chinese people or come from Asian people. And so
Yeah,
because of that, we're being targeted because of one saying or one belief they have, which is totally untrue.
yeah, exactly. No, but I'm glad to know that once we all share these types of stories, and I think it's important for us to share, it really sheds that light on these issues. And you'd think, we really need to come together to show strength, I suppose.
Yeah.
You can't just do this to us, and in fact, you can't just do that to people. Full stop. Like that's just inhumane. Like, oh, that makes me so. Oh, that's sad. It's really sad to hear.
It is sad. It's heartbreaking. Like when you read
Yeah.
it and you see like, old men and women, like they got black eye, they have scars, like it's heartbreaking.
Oh
And I know
gosh.
you mentioned earlier that you do a lot of talks on Clubhouse, so maybe you want to introduce or invite everybody when those are, so that perhaps they can listen in to live
Yeah.
conversation.
To be honest, I don't actually set a time. I randomly just like if I have time, I'll like to put it on and just like, okay, I'm on Clubhouse. But if you just look for Sheena Yap Chan, feel free to follow me. You'll be able to check out some of the things I do. And sometimes I actually join other people to moderate rooms, like especially when it comes to podcasting. And also we've been doing a lot of rooms talking about the book because we really want to bring like we really want to promote this book because there's no book out there that really highlights Asian women in this way. Like a couple days ago, I like Googled Asian women and the first thing that popped up was, are Asian women into yellow fever? I'm like, are you kidding, Google? This is what you think of us?
That is so messed up.
I know. This is why it's like we really need to change these things because this is just it's 2021 and we're still going through
Yeah.
all this.
Right.
Yeah, that is, but that's just like what the aggregate of like what people search for. That is just crazy. Oh my god. Anyway.
But regardless, Sheena, you are such an inspiration to women in general, and I'm sure to many. And we appreciate you sharing or shedding light to everybody on how you started your journey, your story, and what you continue to do and what you're passionate about. And obviously, that is empowering others and shedding light on stories that need to be heard. So, Yona, do you want to say anything else? I know
Yeah,
that
no.
Sheena
Thank you,
needs to go
Sheena.
back to bed.
Before we let you go back to bed, I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you for giving us the time, your precious time, and I really do appreciate what you are doing for our community of Asian women, and really bringing this to light around the world. And please continue doing what you're doing. And I look forward to. I mean, now Marfe's told me that. To be on Twitter because I'm new on Twitter and all of those things. So I'll make sure that I follow you.
Yeah, I'm just Sheena Yap Chan. Like honestly, I'm like the only Sheena Yap Chan on the internet, so it's really easy to find me.
Yeah, well, I'm the only owner Signo, so once you see her follow you, you know it's me.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Exactly. Fair enough. And we have to congratulate Sheena because she received awards or continuous
Yeah.
award on LinkedIn, Yerna.
Well,
Oh,
So
it's
that's
actually
another
the
one.
journey of the award. It was like, here's the photo. It's coming in the mail, and I finally got it today.
oh, that's
Awesome.
amazing. Because
Yeah.
Sheen, I must admit, I'm a bit like, this is LinkedIn and I'm kind of like popping in once in a while and Marfe's just like, you need to get out there. And that's how we started to talk about you because she was telling me how, you've bossed up on LinkedIn completely. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to be following her. So, I mean, actually, before you go, what's your one tip that could change my LinkedIn or people's LinkedIn around?
I think it's just learning to share your story, share who you are, share what you believe in. I mean,
Mhm.
LinkedIn is not very LinkedIn's a lot more social now than it was before. I mean, before it was just like a resume finder, right? Or a
Yeah.
job finder. Like you can still find jobs there, but it is a lot more social. Like video is really big on LinkedIn.
Oh,
So
really?
a lot of people like watching LinkedIn videos, and you can even do live videos on LinkedIn. I think you might just have to ask them to allow you to do live videos. But yeah, just sharing your story, sharing who you are, sharing your beliefs. People love that. People like eat it up because it's what they, it really helps them, right? It gives them that boost for the day. Just sharing your wins, sharing what you go through. Sometimes I'll share my wins. Sometimes I'll be like, today I got rejected and it sucked, but
Mhm.
I realize it's part of the process. But
Yeah.
even just sharing that really helps other people because they're
Yeah.
like, oh my God, thank you for sharing that because I was feeling down because I got rejected 10 times too.
Mm,
So it's just
true.
really learning to be vulnerable too because like we're all human, right? We're not always going to be perfect. We're never going to be perfect. I'm not going to say always because we're never going to be perfect.
Yeah.
We're going to make mistakes. We're going to screw up a lot. I mean, every time I put something, I always make some grammar mistake or some spelling mistake. And
Yeah.
it drives myself nuts because I'm like, oh, I keep doing this. But you know what? It's out there.
Yeah.
And, thank God for edit buttons except for Twitter. But I mean, like that's life, right? Like sometimes we just make mistakes and we have to be okay with it. And just
Uh-huh.
learning to take imperfect action because a lot of us,
Mm,
we always try to get ready. But there's no such thing as ready. You just like go out there and do it, and you can just figure it out along the way. We can course correct it versus
Oh
like
yeah.
waiting for that
Totally
moment.
agree. Totally agree with you, Sheena, because Yona and I are the evidence of that. Even though we prepare, oh my goodness, we end up sharing other things, and there you just lighted up a spark. Normally we'll keep it to like 30 minutes our show, and we just like nah, we're just gonna keep going because this
Yeah.
Sheena's amazing. But no, honestly, we value your time and respect
yes.
that you have woken up for us such an
I know.
early
Appreciate
in
you.
Oh,
Canada.
of course, three ladies, not a problem. Like I said, if it can help one person, then I did my job.
You'll
Thank you
find this
so
on LinkedIn, so you can just
much.
repost it.
Awesome.
So have a
Thank
good morning. Thank you, Sheena, again for joining
Yep.
us on Mom's
Thanks
Know
for having
Best.
me.
And let's see the collaborations that we can achieve together, because obviously
Yeah, for
there's so
sure. That would be
Yeah,
amazing. It's needed now more than ever, like to just have
100%.
a sisterhood support. Like support, I think is the one thing women really, really need. Like just hearing stories of like, I wish I had someone who was I was able to talk to because my family
Mhm.
thought I was crazy. And we all go through that.
Yes.
Well, you've got a big fan here in Australia, so yeah, and you've also got a fan there in Manila. So you got your sisterhood right here for sure. Thank you again.
Thank you, Sheena. We appreciate you. And
Thank you.
Yona, what an amazing show. I told you Sheena is awesome.
Oh my God, I
And
could have spoken to her for like much
oh yeah,
longer. Like, she's so
trust me,
amazing.
you would.
It's
Yeah.
it's so it's so relevant. Everything's a learning, and
Mhm.
what everybody need to realize as well. Like everybody follow her, because
Yeah.
especially the young, because if you can learn this now, it will be better for you like later on as well. It's
Yeah.
just that was so relevant to what we're all
Mhm.
experiencing. And I think for everybody out there, please be empathic to others, be kind to others. Let's
Yeah.
not, even though we have differences with each other, please continue to make sure that you're coming from a right place. And if you really feel like there's just nothing nice that's going to come out of your mouth, walk away.
Mhm.
Like, just
Yeah.
if it's just going to cause grief into someone else's life. And no,
Mhm.
violence is never the answer, guys. It's just it really breaks my heart to think that there are lolos and lolas out there that have beaten up just because they're Asian. This needs to stop,
Yes.
and we have to make sure that we share that message to people. And she's amazing, Mafe. Thank you so much for
I
like
know.
introducing her. She's
Oh,
so good.
one thing that Sheena did highlight, having a mentor or just having a support group that can watch out for your blind spots. That
Yeah,
really resonated
I
with
love
me,
that.
and I love it because you cannot do it alone.
Mm,
As much as you want to be that one man team, there's no I in team.
no,
You need people or your tribe to lift you up, or you lift each other up. So thanks, Sheena, for that, because I know people need to hear that, especially, of course, like I know Yona and I were like, we love to do everything on our own. But then, of course, again, I have to thank Yona for really giving me that true meaning of delegation. And then even more now with Sheena sharing that, yeah, you need someone to watch out for you, watch
yeah.
out for, things that will come your way and you don't expect it.
Mm,
So
exactly. And I think it's just that the other thing that she mentioned as well was this trust, just trusting in the process. Like for you, with delegating and things like that, like it's just that trust, being able to do that. And then you feel
mhm,
so much better, right? You feel like, oh, wow. Oh my God, I feel like I've got a lot more time on my hands, which is great. And it'll enable you to focus on the things that you love. So that's super, super exciting.
yeah,
Oh, can I share? I
yeah,
forgot to. I have to share with everybody that we have Kaya Services has a webinar
mhm,
for basically to talk about how you, as a business owner, can focus on the things that you love by hiring a virtual assistant for your business. So we are going to be holding this on next Thursday, the 4th of March. We'll share flyers, the posters for it. But yeah, this we will be hosting it. We'll be facilitating it, and yeah, we just want to share with people, because some people are curious, or they really don't know what part of the business that they can actually delegate out to people, or what are the types of tasks that they could outsource. So this is a perfect opportunity to join a free webinar, and yeah, we'll share the links for that.
and it's
Oh,
free, guys, so no excuses.
also, we've also got our EVS, Empowered Virtual Services, have got programs that are available to enroll into. So check out Empowered Virtual Services
Mhm.
Philippines on Facebook to find out more information about the programs. That's about offer support and also social media management. So if you are curious or wanting to learn about a career in virtual assistant world or remote work, then check those out, because you will be working with an academy that truly comes from a place where they want to see you succeed. So yeah, and that comes from the founder and our ambassador. So
Yes. So thank you again, everyone, for tuning in on Facebook, on Kumu, Australasia Kumu. If you haven't followed them yet, follow that account, because they are featuring amazing shows, including ours, and supporting, of course, the Filipino community in Australia and New Zealand. So with that, guys, we'll see you in our next episode on Moms.
moms.
Mom, no, best.